Now, some people are worried about the bees dying off. Busy bees pollinate billions of dollars worth of crops, vegetables, fruit, flowers, you name it. But some insects are just plain greedy. They'll eat everything in sight if you don't watch out. GMO to the rescue! Thanks to genetic engineering, the plant produces a toxin from the newly inserted bacterium gene. The toxin kills insects, but not humans. The Bacillus thuringiensis toxin destroys the insects' stomachs. Ouch. We have absolutely no testing results to prove that these are safe, but they are. Trust us. We care. And because the pesticides are already growing right inside the crop, GM plants can withstand more weed killer than the old-fashioned organic crops. No weeds, no bugs. More food, more profit. What's not to like? But that GMO goodness isn't just about corn. There's rice, soybeans, cotton, alfalfa, soybeans, papaya, soybeans, oilseed rape. Is that all? Not on your life. GM is the gift that keeps on giving. The possibilities are endless. Just imagine you're a limey Brit trying to grow strawberries in the frozen wastes of Scotland land. Well, in the future, why not insert a gene from a codfish who's built to thrive?
Welcome back to Philippines Uncut. I'm Buddy Cunanan. Tonight's topic is the medical industry, and joining us still is Dr. Nikki Isaacs, a visiting evolutionary psychologist. Dr. Nikki, welcome back to our third and final segment. So, very nice cartoon. But before we start with that, let's talk about. I want to pick up from where we left off, and we talked about the U.S., the medical industry in the United States, and I just want to point out that there are so many modalities, effective alternative medical modalities that came out and are coming out from former communist countries. We're talking about Russia. We're talking about the former East Bloc countries, even China. Still communist, but a lot of modalities there, and the thing is, it's just if you look at the two areas, basically United States and the West, and former communists or still communists, there was no bottom line driving the medical industry in these communist states. I mean, there were no dollars or cents and rubles being chased after. It really was trying to find the best possible solution to solve the people's problems, health problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just in very stark contrast to what you have in the United States, where it really is all about the dollars and the cents, primarily.
Well, it is, and to import a new modality, if there is no bottom line attached to it, it would not be fitting or behoove the industry in America.
They would have nothing to gain.
They would have nothing to gain, so they would, other than maybe good health for the people, but a stock-driven company certainly can't do that.
Yes. So for alternatives, do you think, where does the solution lie? Do you think it's up to us, the consumers, the knowledge-empowered consumer, to lead this?
Yes, I do. I believe that the majority of people around the world want healthy families, a healthy planet, and that together they can choose to boycott those companies that are not giving them the products that they want at the safety levels that they want, and that those companies who are profit driven are going to understand a decrease in their profitability, because to just have a general conversation like we talked about earlier, they have spin doctors that can change everything to keep you buying.
Absolutely.
But to scare you to do that. The only thing they care about is to keep you buying. But the day that their profitability starts to change, everything on the planet changes.
Yeah, Dr. Nikki, here in the show, we really push alternative modalities. It really is one of our missions to spread awareness of alternative medicine and treatments and all this stuff. And I've noticed that even here in the Philippines, in spite of all this information we're trying to put out there, when the fit hits the shan, medically speaking, people still turn to Western conventional treatments. I mean, how come there's still so much skepticism about alternatives? Given that there is a lot of proof it does work. It is effective.
It does work, and I think that for myself, I use both. If I was in a car accident, I would want to be in an ER trauma center, you know. But if I was diagnosed with a chronic condition, health condition, I would use a naturopathic healer to heal the condition and not take pharmaceutical meds to mask or create more problems. Because in America, when we have, in America and New Zealand are the only two places that Big Pharma can advertise. But the time that they spend talking about the side effects is usually longer than the time they talk about the benefits of taking the drugs, you know. So I find the side effect list too long.
What about for cancer? I mean, what is your personal take if someone is diagnosed with cancer, God forbid? What would you do? Would you go Western? Would you go what's the alternative?
You know, I think it's a really hard question to be posed unless you're actually feeling that.
Sure.
But I would say this, because I've lost several family members to cancer and taken them to the big world-renowned cancer centers, okay? And I found the doctors there compassionate and very nice, but I still have to say they were the used car salesmen that wanted to sell what they were doing. Because even though, for instance, my sister was only given a 3% chance of living, he still pushed really hard to sell what he did, because if she didn't do that treatment, he wasn't going to make any money past that consult.
Yes.
And so in that regard, I felt like it was unethical to not just back off and say, here's the reality, talk to your priest, your family, whatever, if you want to come back and see me, that's fine, you know, kind of thing, rather than being really the guy that says, take home this car today, you know, and make a commitment and come, because, you know, you could be in that 3%.
Yes.
Because the reality is, often, especially when you have such a slim chance of making it through the treatment, that you're going to be very sick.
Absolutely.
And you're going to lose your quality of life.
Absolutely.
And all of those things.
Absolutely.
So I would, personally, I believe, sitting here healthy today, but I believe that I would see a naturopathic physician, and I would enjoy my friends and travel and go dancing.
And you'd probably be cured. Maybe get better. Maybe, probably.
You know, but it's a different way of approaching it. But that's what I think I would do, having observed many people.
I'll tell you, Dr. Nick, I'll share something with you and in the audience. My late father passed away from the big C, cancer, and he did everything. He went chemo, radiation, gene therapy. He even did stem cell. He even went cryosurgery. Okay? Nothing worked. And I saw how his quality of life declined. And if I knew the things I knew now, if I knew back then the things I know now, I would definitely have advised him, Dad, you know, try something else, because this thing is just not working. And so I mean, this is from my own personal experience with the big C.
Right.
Yeah.
And enjoy those days, you know, to be able to say goodbye to people, finish up things, tie up things, because the bottom line is we're all going to move on someday.
Yeah.
Whatever
For
source.
Sure. For sure. Now, let's talk about GMOs.
Okay.
Quickly, because we have a few minutes left. We saw the video, genetically modified organisms. What is your take on that?
They're very dangerous. I think that people should not consume them. The American Association of Environmental Medical Physicians recommend that their patients not eat a GMO diet. And, you know, the commercial that you had, the ad, showed that it would increase yields and all of these things. But the truth is,
It's supposed to be loaded with vitamins. And
yes, and really there is no science to support that. The Union of Concerned Scientists put together 400 scientists from 58 countries and did a report called Failure to Yield. And they found that developing countries were having a yield result of 79%, and actually the GMOs could not improve upon that. They were not able to increase nutrition. They were not able to reduce hunger. They were not able to do any of the things that they purported that would happen. And the other part is the huge toxic burden on the planet, people, animals, creatures. In just the last 6 years alone, the increase in the use of herbicides in America has been 383 million pounds. Now, you know, the other side of my work as in criminality knows that violence increases with exposure to pesticide and herbicides. And I worked with many inmates and prisoners that had toxic levels of these items in their blood. And so, you know, it is not about the bugs or all of those other things. It's also about how they're genetically destroying the food. We cannot go back and regain those chromosomes. You know, thank God there are people and companies that are saving seeds that are 100 years old, and so that we can, at some point in time, you know, mass produce good quality. But the genetics are compromised, and so it's a horrible situation.
That's the problem with GMOs. The moment you start along that path, that land actually becomes tainted.
Yes.
And it cannot, you know, if you try to plant something else in there, that's not GMO.
That's true, and I'll tell you,
the land's ruined.
Yes, exactly. And I had a conversation actually this week with one of your cellular biologists here in the Philippines, and he shared something with me, and I wish I had a reference for you for this, but I don't. I'll get it from him. He said that how they use the gene gun to inject the new DNA into the specimen is with the HIV virus. And the reason that they do that is because it is effective and efficient, and it will penetrate any cell.
Wow.
And so while I looked at your cartoon and I saw the mercury and all of the other things that are in there, I thought, yeah, well, one of the viruses that they're using for the gene gun is allegedly the HIV virus.
That is so scary.
It's very frightening.
Yeah. And the mere fact that, you know, they claim that you know, GMO crops are supposed to be pest resistant because they have biotoxins already infused in the product itself, in the crop. And that for me as a consumer is scary. You know? I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to eat anything that has a capacity to kill insects.
Well, of course not. Just like you shouldn't use, you know, antibacterial soap because it actually has a level of pesticide in it, and it's not good for you.
Wow. So what kind of
That's your tip of the day. Don't ever buy soap with antibacterial properties.
I'll keep that in mind. Dr. Nikki, before we go, would you like to say something to the audience?
Well, I hope that you continue to tune in to Buddy's show. I'm really impressed with what he does here and how he supports the natural health community. I thank you all for your warm embrace and welcoming me here, and I thank you too, Buddy, for having me as a guest.
Pleasure, Dr. Nikki, and hopefully as you extend your stay in the Philippines, we will have the pleasure of your company here, and of course your excellent advice and insights in your field and in the medical industry and all that.
Super.
Thank you very
so
much. Thank you. Guys, I hope you enjoyed our conversation tonight about the medical industry with Dr. Nikki Isaacs. Join us again next week here in the show where we talk about what matters to you guys because you guys matter the most. I'll see you next week.